Hey everyone, it's the TheAngryHoneyBadger, and it's finally time to take a look at a Shaco build. Many of you know I'm not a massive fan of Shaco. I do know that he can be one of the strongest champions in the game if you dedicate a lot of time to him and you learn how to play him perfectly. We're going to talk about a lot of different tricks you can do with him. We're not going to probably hit everything because it kind of comes down to how you play Shaco, but we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, and we'll go ahead and start off right now. What we're going to do early on with Shaco is we're going to head over to whichever buff you have your AD carries on the side of, and you are going to have them kill blue buff for you while you put down your W, which is your Jack in the Box. So what I do is I tried to throw 3 of these down, starting at about 56 seconds into the game because they are up for 1 minute, and I'm going to leave them right there. I'm going to leave 3 of them right there. There's 2 on top of each other, and I'm going to head over to red buff. And so while I'm heading over to red buff, we're going to just jump around the camera real quick because we have to record in spectator mode since League is still kind of broken. And what they're going to do is they're going to shoot at blue buff and kill it, basically, for me. And then my boxes, if they're up long enough, I will get it. So it has now gone over to me. I have blue buff, and now I can take red buff right now with my smite. So I can hit level 3 pretty quick. I know this is changing in a patch coming up soon. You have to kill all of the creeps, so this will stop this a little bit, but nonetheless, you'll still have both of those buffs, and you'll still be level 2 after you kill those creeps right there. So still try to do this. It doesn't always work, depending on who you're with. Those 2 people on the bottom lane, I don't know them, and I told them what to do in chat, and it worked out. So I'm level 3 right now. I'm going to go ahead and come in for a gank immediately is what you want to do then after that. Unfortunately, my box didn't fear him there, and we were unable to kill him, but we got close. Now, what I'm going to do is try to harass with these lanes and with my presence. That's a big thing you need to do with Shaco. If you don't do this, what's going to happen is you're basically going to fall really far behind and not pick up kills. So I'm going to come in here. We're going to go ahead for a kill, and we will be able to pick him up the kill there for Brand. He'll get first blood and barely escape. We do have Trundle coming down now. We will have them turned off in a second so you can't see where they're at, like how we normally would have the game. And we're actually going to get into a little bit of a fight with him right here. Throw down a little Jack in the Box. If he runs in here, which he will, he'll get feared. I'll jump in behind him, hit him with some crits. Gonna do some damage to him. I wish Brand would have got here just a little bit sooner so we could have killed him. But 1v1ing a Trundle fairly early on as Shaco is actually not too bad at all. I am unfortunately going to die to him here, but we will be able to pick up another kill for Brand, and I'll get another assist. So that's okay for me for right now. While we are jungling Shaco, what you want to take is Smite, because it's very helpful for clearing, and Ignite. His Ignite is basically something you want to use while you jump into those fights to eliminate people fairly quick. I'm going to get my blue buff reset since I didn't get able to do that immediately. And we're going to go ahead and keep talking about just little tricks with Shaco. And let's go over his abilities too right now real quick. He does have his passive, which is Backstab. Shaco deals 20% bonus damage if he strikes them from behind. So just remember that that is what that does. So that's why you try to jump in behind people. Next, you have your Q ability, which is your Deceive, which I'm going to use in a second. There I used it for a second just now, and then I'm going to jump in and kill Caitlyn real quick. So just use my Deceive, which what happens is you're going to instantly stealth for 3.5 seconds. It's going to teleport you to whichever location you're going towards. It's like a mini flash too while you do that. And if you hit your target while stealth, your attack is granted a certain amount of crit and bonus damage. So very nice stuff. You're going to get damage and you're going to crit them. So that is your Deceive. We put a point in that at level 2. We typically will be maxing this out first or second. Comes down to personal preference. You put 1 point into your Jack in the Box early on, which we all saw me use when we took those buffs. That's going to fear somebody if they walk into that, and it's going to go stealth. It'll sit there for a minute, and it'll deal some damage as well. And then there is your E ability, which is your 2 Shiv poison, sorry. And when you use this on someone, it's going to deal some damage to them, and it's going to slow them for 2 seconds, which is kind of nice. And I think it reduces minions, have the effect to reduce the hit on you by a little bit, so you can dodge attacks basically. And yeah, fun stuff like that. Also, it has some other fun stuff, but we'll get to that later. Anyways, and then there is your ultimate, which is your Hallucinate, which you can create a carbon copy of yourself. It does deal attacks on champions. We're going to come in here for a gank on Jace, hit him with everything we have, ignite him. And I think red buff's also going to help kill him, so I'll pick up a kill on Jace. Just trying to gank lanes. Like I said, you cannot just jungle with Shaco. You'll fall behind because he's not the fastest jungler in the world, so you really need to get out there and gank. And if you do fall behind, try to get tanky. That's about the only thing I can recommend. Because if you fall behind with Shaco, it's just really unfortunate. I'm going to get into a little bit of a fight with the Trundle, who actually is a level ahead of me. And he is attacking the wrong target, luckily. One thing you can know to kind of realize which target you are attacking is the one that doesn't have buffs is the fake, but the one that does have buffs is the real Shaco. So you need to just remember that when you ever are seeing a champion that can have a double of themselves. And then, like we were just talking about with this hallucinate, what happens is, like I said, you create an illusion of yourself, and it will deal damage. When it does die, it will explode, dealing some damage as well, which is kind of nice. And you can use this for a few things. We're going to get to something you can use this on. You can use it to trick people. You can use it just to run at them, to scare them. You can do all types of stuff with your ultimate. It works well if you use it really well, but it's also still kind of one of those meh ultimates in my opinion, but it can work all right. So it's how you use everything to benefit how it works. Like right now, we're just kind of poking back and forth. Twitch is actually going to pick up a kill here in a second, and I'll get an assist as well. So you can just kind of be tricky with Shaco, and luckily you don't have to take flash with him because he can get out of situations fairly easily with his Q when he can just jump away and he goes invisible. So it's not on the longest cooldown in the world either, so about 11 seconds is the cooldown. So it's kind of very helpful for getting away. So just keep that in mind. Early on in this build, what we're trying to do is we picked up Madrid's Razor to help clear in the jungle. Here we know that he's standing there because of the ward. Going to come in from behind, hit him a few times, I think ignite him and pick up the kill on him. So we're going to just go ahead and kill Trundle. So good thing we had that warded. Now since I know that he is dead and we have Dragon pinked, what we can do is use our ultimate here, and it will actually tank Dragon for us. So we can actually go for Dragon right now. We do have our Lantern, which is definitely going to be helping us take this. I don't have to worry about really taking damage. Unfortunately, randomly, Hybridian came up here to ward. He does see me. He is going to just basically help me because I'm just going to smite this. And then after I smite it, I'm just going to jump away with my Q. And we are going to basically escape. I think, are we going to pick up a kill? No, actually, I would escape, but the snipe was going to kill me, but Gragas is going to show up and ult me to kill me, but still took Dragon for the team, and that's one way you can use your ultimate to help you out. You can use it to basically tank Dragon, and you can get Dragon for your team fairly easily that way. So just something to remember if you are looking for just a way to get the edge. And I try to do that, obviously, if we have the Dragon pink warded. So just keep that in mind, as you probably want that pink warded so they don't show up and kill you. Since Shaco is a fairly squishy champion, he dies fairly quick in fights. He doesn't have a lot of crowd control. He's got a little bit, but he doesn't have the most crowd control. And if he falls behind, like I said, it just is really hard to catch up. So just a few things to remember. Going to pick up a couple assists there as we get into a couple little fights. And we're going to go ahead and keep jungling and warding a little bit with our Lantern and buying more items. In this game, I went with Boots of Mobility. Pretty standard stuff. Most of the time helps you get around the map and allows you to gank around more often, or at least show your presence more often. You can single-handedly scare whole teams with Shaco, though. Depending on how well they are warding, and the fact that you can kind of pop in out of nowhere. A few things I will say is, if you know they're warding certain areas, you can always use your Q to hop through walls and get around enemy champions, especially in bottom lane. I try to sometimes jump in and get to their bottom bushes without them knowing, and you can show up for ganks that way. I am going to pick up a kill here, but I will then die immediately after that, unfortunately, but that's going to happen. But we picked up a kill. I will say one thing, if you die a lot with Shaco, that is just part of being Shaco. At least that's the way I view it. But if you obviously are living through fights, that's a good thing too. But I'll use him really offensively, and if I die, that's okay. It will happen. It is League of Legends. If you're not dying, that's amazing. And we're going to keep building now. We do also have, what is that, Avarice Blade, so we're getting some gold that way. We will be building that with the Zeal that we also bought, and that Zeal and that will team up. We'll build a static Shiv with that, which right now, it's helping us farm with some gold, and it's giving us some crit chance, which is also helpful. And then we will be picking up the static Shiv, which will give us movement speed, attack speed, crit chance, all types of fun stuff. So really, it's a good item to pick up. If you wanted to rush the other item we're going to get to next instead of the static Shiv, that's fine as well, but I like it for clearing. It does help you out fairly well in that aspect, so it's just something to consider. Obviously, you can always tweak these builds. These are just suggestions. This is not the only way to do something, and we're going to just keep going from there. So, a few things that you may have seen that are kind of weird is the whole ignite instead of flash or something, but like we said, we need the damage. So a few other things we do to get that damage as well is our Masteries, which we actually go with a 2190 page. You're going to want to get all the damage you can get in the offensive tree because you want to deal that damage on those early ganks. That is the main thing you're going for. There, I tried to kill Heimerdinger and we just died. That's going to happen, and unfortunately they're going to get a dragon out of the deal, but we have Rise pushing top lane a little bit, so we'll just keep going with that. But like I was saying, we need to get that damage early so you can get those level 1 ganks to be very effective. If you can get the kill or the laner can get that kill at level 1, that puts them ahead in lane, level-wise, gold-wise, everything. It's a big, big, big help. So try to do that if you can. So that's why we're taking all that damage with those Masteries. So here, Gragas is going back, going to jump in here, slow him down from going back by trying to initiate on him. He is going to flash and try to get away from this, but we will keep chasing a little bit. We're going to throw another Shiv at him. He is also going to knock us forward. That is going to slow him down, and we're going to jump forward, just attack him a couple times, and then get out of that situation. We do have that static Shiv now, so that's helping us out a little bit with some crit, some attack speed, movement speed, and that damage that happens, that procs on that. And then we also have a pickaxe now, which we'll be building towards... Oh, I also did smite that away from her, so I took that away from her. Don't forget, you also can counter jungle very well with Shaco. Something I don't do quite as much this game, because Trundle's a strong jungler, but nonetheless, you can counter jungle really well once you get comfortable with Shaco and you're in positions that it works really well too. So don't forget that. It can definitely help you when you are in a game. One thing I also will do sometimes when I'm in lane is I'll throw down my boxes on those in case people are going to come from the sides, and that'll slow them down and help me get away if I need to. So you can always put those in little places where you know people are going to walk through, and you can kind of bait it out and give yourself an extra second to get away. So just something to remember when you're playing as Shaco. Now, we are taking that pickaxe, as you saw the last time when we died. We did buy a Tiamat, and that Tiamat will obviously be building into the only thing it can build into, which is a Ravenous Hydra. It will help us out with clearing and pushing later on, because that is something Shaco can do since he is kind of sneaky. You can also side push fairly well with him once you do get that static Shiv and that Ravenous Hydra. Those are really good wave clearing items and pushing items. It also does help him farm, because typically when you are showing up with all of this lane presence and ganking around the map a lot, you will be not farming as much as some other junglers. So it really does help to get some of that later on if you need to catch up just a little bit. It's just another way to just kind of help you out just a tiny bit because of the lack of farming you usually do. Going to come in for a little bit of fight, move over to this Heimerdinger, try to deal some damage to him. I'm going to get exhausted for a second. I'll let that die off. And we're going to move back in over here. Going to go for the Trundle now and try to get rid of him as he is going for our Rise. And he is going to take care of Rise, or somebody will, and Rise will get the kill, though. And we're going to keep jumping in here and going for some more assists so we can help the team out. And, you know, just jumping around, kind of being a nuisance. One thing you do also need to realize when you are playing a Shaco is you can get to the high priority targets by basically having that stealth. So that's one way to really help yourself. You can also chase fairly well too right now. I'm going to slow him down one more time, and then I'm going to actually jump through the wall with my Q and get over to him while I'm invisible, hit him, which will crit him, and then use my Ravenous Hydra passive on that and kill him. So just a few little things you can do. We're going to have him tank that tower and get out of there, and we'll head back to base as we're going to finish off this Hydra in just a second. And that's what's going to happen. So we now have our Hydra, and at this point in the game, we actually have a decent amount of damage. We have a little bit of crit chance, and we have a handful of lifesteal, so fairly comfortable with our damage at this point in the game, and we're going to start building a little bit of defense and get into another little fight. So I actually did pick up some armor, and that's going to be building into something. We're going to get into a bit of a fight. Unfortunately, Bran got annihilated. The rest of the team wasn't here right away, but now I think we are moving in as our super tanky Rise is there, and we got Trundle in our face, but we're going to come back in here and try to pick up some kills on whoever we can. Trying to sneak around, but it's not really working at this current moment. But we can go ahead and jump through this wall to get after this Caitlyn, which we will. We will hit her and slow. Well, apparently we're going to slow Trundle down. But we can go for both of these champions because we can. But we're going to go ahead and kill this Caitlyn real quick. She was ignited, and we'll kill her. Unfortunately, I think Trundle will get away because we are slowed by that red buff that Caitlyn did have when she shot me. So I was a little bit slowed, but we'll go ahead and keep pushing these towers down and keep working on the build and everything else. Now, as for the recommended runes, I would suggest you're going to want the Armor Seals, pretty standard for almost every jungler. You can either do attack damage quintessences because we're looking for that early damage, or the movement speed ones are also good for junglers. Attack damage marks are going to be great, and then the magic resist per level glyphs are also then going to be something that you probably want to pick up, which will help you with a little bit of durability as the game continues. So just those are the recommended ones I would definitely pick up or try to get. We're going to get into a bit of a fight here, but this game is getting kind of lengthy, as you can tell, so we'll speed through this a little bit as we're in their base, but we're getting to the point where we have dominance. We got the dominance in gold now and kills, and we're just going to keep pushing a little bit. Here we can clear this wave pretty quick, which is nice, and that'll help us out with some gold, and we'll head back to base now. And I think will we pick up our next item? Yes, we will. At this point, I usually pick up a Guardian Angel. Not only does it give me the ability to come back to life, which is sometimes very helpful, but the resists on it are just going to help me just stay a little bit more durable when we are in fights. So the magic resist in the armor is not a bad thing at all. So that is why we picked that up. Going back to our abilities, like I said, if you're looking what to max out first, you can choose between your Q and your E. Just depends on if you want more damage from your slow or more slow from your 2 Shiv poison, or if you want more damage from your deceive, you can also put points into that. So those are your first 2 choices for maxing out. Jack in the Box, do that last, but put 1 point into that at level 1. And then obviously your ultimate, you take points in that at levels 6, 11, and 16. Gonna go ahead and kill Heimerdinger because I think he needs to die for us to win. Gonna go ahead and help with Gragas, and then we can keep moving in on them as this game is about to wind down. And yeah, this is Shaco. I will say a few things more about him, like you really just need to practice him if you want to get good with him. Learn the tricks, watch the little things that other Shaco players do. I'll be one to admit it, like I said, I don't play him all the time. I'm not super God mode with him. But I try to do tricky things with him, but he can really help teams out or really hurt teams out. If he doesn't really do anything and he falls behind, really isn't helpful. So at that point, you kind of probably need to get tanky. But if he shows up, he has that presence and he has good ganks and he can be tricky and he can help pick up dragons, he can be a very valuable member in those aspects. It's just rarely that you see that done so well in certain groups of players. So that's just something to remember with Shaco. Give this stuff a try out and give him a handful of tries. You'll definitely work something out in the long run. But other than that, guys, that'll be a build for Shaco, and I'll just see all of you guys in the next build video. We're going to get into a big team fight here. I'm going to move in and use my ultimate to try to get all of them. It's going to do a lot of damage. I'll pick up a kill on Caitlyn and a bunch of assists as well. I'll also use one more Q to stop him with that bind there and allow Twitch to pick up the kill.